Hey, fraud and audit friends and family. Got a question for you this week. Have you ever been stuck in a pickle and felt like you couldn't really get out of it? If you have, stay tuned because that's what we're going to talk about today. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Friday Fraudster podcast. Join them as they discuss sad, funny, and sometimes disturbing fraud stories. Be sure to catch past episodes on your favorite podcasting platform or go to www.fridayfraudster.com.
All right. You guys heard the first question that I asked. Have you ever been stuck in a pickle trying to find your way out of it? If so, let me know in the chat. What's a pickle you've been stuck in that you've tried to get your way out of? And so Marsha's here already, and she just says, Happy Friday. The Olympic ceremony is so boring. Well, Marsha, I hope that we are much more exciting than the Olympic ceremony. So you know what? Without any further delay, we're just going to bring up our guest for today. Did you notice I said guests? Actually, one of them is not a guest anymore, I guess. She's never mind. Christine, what's
Hey,
going on?
I guess same day, different week. Is that a good saying for these?
Or same Friday, different fraud, or different Friday, different fraud. There we go.
Yeah, I think that's
Different,
good.
yeah, different Friday, different fraud. That sounds good. And today we're also going to bring up Karina.
Yay!
Hello.
All right, so
I'm
look,
here.
Karina, everybody's tired of seeing my face. They're not quite tired of Christine yet, but they know who she is. So why don't you tell everybody who you are?
Well, hi everyone. So I'm Karina, and I am also an internal audit professional, just like Christine. I've been in the profession for about 3 years now, and I really love it. And I love it so much that I'm actually preparing to get my CIA certification. So anytime Christina's like, Karina, we got to set up a meeting, it's because she wants to remind me that I need to set up study time to get through my CIA tests. Yeah. So I've gone through a test that I've gotten through part 1. Now I'm working on part 2 and 3. Hopefully before May of 2025 next year. So yeah.
Oh, you got this.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Oh, I hope
You got
so. Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, if I can pass it, anybody can pass it.
But you've had it for how long?
You know what? That's a good question. I want to say since like 2002 or 1999, 2000, a long time.
So did they
A
even
very long
have an IT part back then?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think they did. But I took the CISA shortly after anyway. So, but yeah, I don't think they had an IT part back then. Interesting.
Yeah.
Now I feel real old. My grades actually show it too. So okay. So listen. Have you guys ever been stuck in a pickle and you just felt like you couldn't get out of it?
I got kids. That's every day. I should go ahead, Karina.
I was just going to say, I feel like it can happen often being an internal auditor, getting stuck in pickles.
Yeah. Sometimes clients hate us. Sometimes they love us. Sometimes they try to set us up. I mean, so yeah, we can be stuck in pickles quite often. You ever been caught in a pickle playing sports?
It was on my bucket list. I played pickleball.
Oh, you played pickleball. You did. What is that like?
It's pretty fun. So I had my friend's husband would play pickleball like on the weekends and stuff with all these other people, and it's fun. I think we're actually getting a really big like indoor pickleball arena by where I live, where it's just going to be solely pickleball. Like the courts are specific to pickleball, like no tennis. They're going to have like tournaments, club league, stuff like that. I don't know.
So now, speaking of pickleball, I'd always heard of pickleball, but I always thought it was just old people tennis.
It is. I know it's big by my mother-in-law's retirement community down in Florida. They've got pickleball courts there. She said, but you can get injured really easy. And I can understand because you're like jarring your body in short movements and stuff. I mean, and you're a lot closer than in tennis.
Yeah, I would imagine if it's anything close to tennis, if it mimics tennis, then I would imagine it's easy to get hurt. I mean, even with your wrist movements, that I can imagine.
All right. So for anyone listening, have you ever played pickleball? Marsha, have you ever played pickleball before? I'm just curious. Have you ever played pickleball before? Because sometimes you can be stuck in a pickle playing pickleball. You know what I'm wondering though is, do you get injured easy playing pickleball because it's old people tennis or because it's actually physically straining?
I mean, I sweat when I played it.
I haven't played it.
So I've never played it either. But to your point, Christine, a lot of people have it and play it in around, elderly communities, 55 and old. Oh God. 55 is elderly. I just thought about it. I'm close to 50. Anyway, but there's a lot of pickleball in 55 and older communities. Can you imagine? Now, it is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking when Venus and Serena hit a certain age, they'll give up tennis and start playing pickleball.
Oh God, they would dominate.
They'd make it in the Pickleball Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
I mean, it says that a 200-pound person can burn about 700 calories per hour if they're playing harder, as much as 900 calories per hour playing.
Ooh. Oh boy.
It's a good workout.
Rob's gonna take up pickleball.
I might. I mean, it sounds like a really good sport if it burns that many calories. Now, Marsha's saying she's never heard of pickleball. Okay. So you guys are probably wondering, why are we doing all this pickleball talk? Well, my friends, it is because today, the person that we're talking about started a company called Pickleball Rocks because he was a big fan of pickleball. Unfortunately, he's been accused of swindling people out of millions and millions and millions of dollars through his company, which sold a lot of gear and merch surrounding the whole pickleball thing. But apparently this young man, well, he's not so young because he's playing pickleball, but he discovered pickleball over 20 years ago, and he just became this staple in the community. And so they would have these tournaments all throughout the country. And at one point, he asked a few people to invest in his pickleball business, and they did. And the amounts that he got people to invest are kind of freaking staggering. And I'll give you one example. In 2014, 2015, he actually got Justin Masterson. If you don't know that name, he's a former Major League Baseball pitcher, and his wife to invest on 14 separate occasions up to $42 million in his real estate venture. So not necessarily pickleball, but in his real estate venture.
I mean, it is a growing sport. It's a growing sport.
I would imagine that you got to be really convincing and a very good speaker to convince people like a former league player to invest in your business.
Yeah. So let me ask you all though. I tried to research a lot about the business itself. What exactly did Pickleball Rocks do?
Pick, Pickleball Rocks was merch that would be sold in tournaments, correct?
From what I gather, yeah, yeah.
So they
But what
trademarked
else?
their famous phrase, pickleball rocks, and launched their apparel. I
And
guess I don't know. Other than a t-shirt and shorts and maybe this type of paddle that you need.
yeah, it was paddles, hats too. Um, what else? I think it was just general merchandise, and maybe it was appealing to players because they knew the person selling that merchandise.
Yeah. So everything I found too, from what I can tell, they were just selling merch, like you all just said, shirts, paddles to hit the ball with. And so that's why I got kind of confused because as we're reading through the list of people he got money from and how much money he got from them, first he met a lady named Sharon. Sharon thought that he was really nice. She's actually quoted as saying, he's a really cool guy and the business has a really cool name. And so he asked Sharon to invest in his business and she started off really small. First, she invested $25,000 in a business that's just selling merch. And I'm thinking, you can get a whole lot with $25,000 worth of merch. But then he asked her to expand her investment and he asked for $75,000. But here's where it gets really interesting to me. His promise to them was that he'd pay them back interest at a rate of 12%. So he got a loan from these people?
Which made it all that more appealing to invest in his business plan.
Yeah.
You get a greater return.
But is that a red flag? Because is that normally how investments work in a business?
You don't get guaranteed your return.
Right.
And I think at that point, if you could, let's just say it wasn't even a guarantee, it was an estimate of a 12% return. Wouldn't he have this really big business plan?
One would think.
I mean, 12% return is really good.
Really good. Like really, really good. And so that was kind of the first red flag to me because normally when you invest in a business, the business could go under. And so there's rarely, or maybe not ever, a guarantee of a return. And then the guaranteed return was far above market rate. And it started to remind me somewhat of Bernie Madoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was something else too about the transactions. It seemed that they were very simple and in the form of promissory notes. Is that any red flag there if the transaction is that simple?
That again seemed like another red flag. I mean, you bring up a really good point because I'm thinking if I'm investing in your business, then you should tell me how many shares of the business stock that I own versus if I'm giving you a loan. And essentially, most of these sound like they were loans, especially to this first young lady, to the tune of $75,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
But
I mean, 12% return.
it gets better or worse, depending on how you look at it. Um, he tapped into a few other individuals and asked them to invest in the business as well. So now he started the business in 2009, and it was an apparel company where he was just making shirts. He also trademarked the name, so that was smart. And apparently, he traveled around the world playing pickleball and selling his merch. So now, after he got this young lady to invest money, he also got other people to invest to the tune of more than $9 million
So much money.
to sell merch. Like,
So
I'm really confused.
well, and he issued promissory notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now,
So he was
when
taking out loans.
yeah, and so now when people got concerned because they weren't getting their money back, many of them decided to just simply go to court. So now when he went to court, actually he didn't go to court, he ignored all of the notices that he got because he said he couldn't afford an attorney. And now attorneys are definitely expensive. So when he went to court, he had a default judgment levied against him. And so essentially a judge looked at, the plaintiff's case and said, okay, we're going to award you certain things without him being present. And at this point, he did say, look, I'm broke. This is all I have. And when I say all I have, he ended up saying that he had some rental property worth, God, I lost my number here.
800,000.
There you go. $800,000. And it was low income rental property. And he had some other assets that were worth small amounts compared to the amounts that he owed. So the judgments that were levied against him, listen to these numbers. So to Justin Masterson, the former Major League Baseball player, $42 million. Wait, no, I'm sorry. The judgment was $5 million from the court to Justin Masterson. Another family, Debbie and Larry Peck, $17 million judgment, and then to another guy, Philip Peach, $39 million.
Jeez. Did you find out what the total amount was? I did.
No, what is it?
His whole scandal is valued at $50 million.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
He accrued $47.5 million in debt after issuing those promissory notes. 40. Do you know how much? I'm just sitting here thinking. Pickleball paddles aren't that expensive. I mean, you can get really good ones, not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a lot of equipment for $47.5 million.
Yeah.
Do you think
So,
these people will see that money back?
so there's another good question. They will see some of the money back, but they won't see as much as they should. And here's why I say that. So he was forced into bankruptcy. That's what a lot of the people that he owed money, they got together and they contacted this one attorney, and instead of filing separate lawsuits, he combined them all into one. And as a part of this judgment, they forced him into bankruptcy. And so now all of his assets have been seized, and many of his assets are up for auction at the famous Christie's auction house, right? We've all heard of Christie's. Now, here's where it gets really interesting because here are the items listed at the auction house. So, for example, here's a lot of paddles here. Current bid is $305. That's not a lot, right? Here's some more paddles, $275. Here's a lot of shirts, $6 is the current bid. So at 100 items per page, there are 11 pages. So that's an average of what 10,058 total lots for sale. Even at these prices, even if we assume, let's just do easy math, right? 1,000 times, let's say $265 at the height. That doesn't get us anywhere close. That gets us to what, a couple $100,000? And that's on the high end. If you look, most of these things 230, 182. So heck, this lot is probably not even worth $300,000.
Well, no, that top one, the lot 101, the 2 pickleball paddles, or 4 CRBN2 pickleball paddles. The Series 3X are valued at $230 a piece.
Ah,
You're getting it, if somebody at $275, it's almost, you're getting it at a quarter of the cost.
yeah. Yeah. So that was a good question, Karina, because will they be paid back? I don't know. Um, because even if they liquidate his $800,000 in real estate holdings, and you add this to it, I mean, you might be at a million, maybe 1.2, 3 million.
Yeah.
And I just find it hard because, like, a lot of this stuff that they're selling, it's branded.
Yeah.
And if, like, the pickleball community and like, if there's a community that I'm thinking that there is, they're going to know about this company. I mean, are you going to walk around with a t-shirt that has a failed company name on it? Unless it's like a laughable thing. I don't know.
You
You
know,
bring up a
sorry, go ahead, Karina,
good.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you bring up a really good point, Christine, that the brand seems to have been harmed. I personally would not want to be walking around with the brand logo of a company that I know has committed fraud. But did you guys see that this person responded to the the petition for bankruptcy? He basically gave a counteroffer saying that instead of the liquidation of a Chapter 7 proceeding, that it should be moved to a Chapter 11 business reorganization so that the person can continue to do business with the purpose of generating the funds to the investors. I mean, I would not trust a person to continue to stay in business after not being able to pay so many investors. But what do you guys think about that?
He said he had intentions of paying these people back. But where did all the money go? I guess that's my question. I didn't find anything.
They're still trying to figure out where the money went. Now, Karina, you bring up a really good point, because here's a thought that I had on this. The brand is definitely damaged, but it's more so the person behind the brand. So now, if you take that brand, which essentially had goodwill for years, and you put that into some sort of a trust that is designed to benefit the people who have been wronged, you can continue the business operations and build the brand back up. How many times have we seen brands fall down and then get back up again? So you could build back up goodwill, because really the only bad will is the owner. And once you kick the owner out, you could probably start to sell that merch branded again, especially if, and here's the other thing about people, we like getting behind a good cause. So now, if we know that this company has a resurgence in activity because we want to pay these people back, and we also want to serve the pickleball community because the pickleball community has been wronged by this bad guy over here, you still have a viable business.
That is a very good point, Rob.
Especially if you got
I,
somebody that can save it.
yeah, yeah. So it seems like it would need to go through some sort of transformation and rebranding, though. But
That's what I would think. Yeah.
from what I've read, though, it seems like there was a Facebook post that went around, and that is how some of these investors found out that other investors were not getting paid.
There absolutely was a Facebook post. Um, a few Facebook posts. As a matter of fact, here is hold on. I was gonna show one, but I got it in the wrong spot here. Give me just 1 second. Here is one of those posts, which is quite interesting. It's one of the investors saying, okay, this is a lot, so this is one of them saying, after consulting with our attorney, we feel it is important to release this statement and update all on what we feel is a serious matter that needs to be addressed in our pickleball world. We have gained a lot of information and additional evidence since I first posted about Rodney Grubbs of Pickleball Rocks. More than 70 investors have reached out to us, and the number grows every day. We now know that he has defaulted on dozens of notes given to people across the country. He also has 2 court judgments against him for debts of more than $5 million that were obtained by past investors, whom he failed and refused to pay. In one case, he took and kept hundreds of thousands of dollars of a couple's retirement money. Our goal in raising the alarm about him was to prevent new investors from being taken in. Nevertheless, we fear that he continues to solicit new investments from people who don't know his history and or choose to believe him despite what we've made public. So this was a follow-up from an initial post that they made. He said that they tried to silence him by paying him back 3 years after his default and over 30 loans later. So he paid back these people. At the same time, he started defaming us and playing the victim. Everyone, he is not the victim. He is the victimizer. Then he goes on to talk about the legal steps that have been taken with over 70 other potential investors. And he signed it at the bottom, prison rocks, instead of, pickleball rocks. He said prison rocks. So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in the response to the bankruptcy, I read that he responded. He dismissed the notions of any harm to the reputation of his company by saying that the vast majority of pickleball players do not use social media and will not be impacted by current news.
Wait, what? Okay. So, alrighty. So just because you don't use social media, you won't hear the news. I missed that piece. I totally missed that one.
It was in one of the articles that they quoted as his statement.
Okay, got it. So yeah, it's almost like hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, right? They won't be able to see it. But come on, let's be honest. We all know that Facebook is an old person's platform. all of us old
Yeah,
people are on Facebook. Wait, so okay, let me just see. Karina, are you on Facebook?
I am.
Do you actively check Facebook every day?
Not really. I use it to communicate with family occasionally.
Older family members, right?
Yeah, yeah, they generally are older than me.
So let me guess, you're primarily on Instagram or Snapchat, one of the two.
Yes, primarily Instagram, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on neither. I feel so old.
Okay, so here's what's really interesting to me about today's story, though, because we're talking about nearly $100 million, right? And no one knows where the money went, and even the inventory, from what we can see that has been confiscated, is nowhere near close to that dollar amount. And then even his rental properties were about $800,000. So where did this money go? Like, what happened to all of this money? This is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Is there a secret offshore bank account? Now, here's the other thing. I said a few minutes ago, they could continue the business really because it had a good brand name. And my goodness, people need pickleball supplies because it's only picking up in popularity. Because I think, Karina, you were telling me about some stats on the people who actually play pickleball. What's the demographic of people
Right.
who actually play pickleball?
So it seems like the largest demographic of people who play pickleball are from ages of 55 and up. That is the largest demographic. There is a second large demographic of people who play between the ages of 18 to 34.
Yeah. So, with that said, though, let's take a look at the website now and see what it looks like. So, it's still operational, but it says come join the fun, and boom, you get 15% off stuff. And they're asking you to do your name and email address. So, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's some merch here for sale on the website. So, under recent news, they just have a few things here like this isn't even for sale. I don't think it says special introductory rate $99 to purchase today. Click here. And then oops, the page is not found. So what happened to the merch that was for sale on the website? Because again, here it is. How we help pickleball grow, the pickleball championships, the pickleball mile club. I have no idea what that is. Here's pickleball project for kids. So I said, okay, the website used to sell merch, but now it's not really selling merch, or is it? Like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So I clicked on another piece, and here it is, opening soon. Find out when we open. The world's most recognized pickleball brand. So, and here it is. This shop will be powered by Shopify. So I'm assuming that maybe some of the creditors have now taken over and they are going to try and relaunch it. Because look here at the bottom. Check out our closeout paddles and shirts. So I'm like, okay,
Does it take you
closeout.
there?
I'm like, closeout? Where did that come from? But this takes us to nowhere. So yeah. So here we are at the website, and it's coming soon.
Seems like something is in the works.
Now Shree says her daughter is 22 playing pickleball.
From what I saw in the stats, Marsha saying people forget easily as well. Good point.
Yeah, yeah.
From what I saw from the stats, pickleball has been growing. The money is being used to. What did that comment say?
She said the money is being used to bet on other pickleball games.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. You know what? Is there a market for betting in Vegas on pickleball?
Well, it's not an Olympic sport. That's what I was thinking.
It will be soon. I mean, if curling made it to the Olympics, then pickleball surely will make it to the Olympics.
They're saying the earliest possible inclusion for pickleball in the Olympics would be 2032 for Brisbane.
You know, that's actually not too far off.
Oh, God, that seems so far away, but yet so close.
Yeah. What's that, 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is not that far off. So, if you are just joining us today, we are talking about Pickleball Rocks. Apparently, the gentleman that started Pickleball Rocks, um, solicited investments from people and promised to pay them back interest for their investments. Some people were promised to the tune of 12% interest rate, which we found pretty high. And also, isn't that just a loan? Why wouldn't you just go to the bank? So we're trying to figure out some of the red flags that we could have gotten here, but also the company sold merch. They sold merchandise. We can't figure out where at least $50 million went for a company that sells merch. Now, some of the merch has been taken in and is now up for auction, but from what we can tell, the amount, at least the current value that is being asked for at the auction, is about a little over $200,000. We got a long way to reconcile 50 million.
Well, like I said, if he would have went to the bank, that's like a commercial underwriting. He would have had to have had a business plan on how he was going to be generating income. And at that, sometimes then now you're looking at, he's going to have a personal interest. So if it was a brand new business or whatever, he'd have to put up personal interest. So if he didn't have any other business income, so the initial payback would be how the business would make income. Then his secondary would probably be his personal interest or personal assets. And then his tertiary source of repayment would likely be if he had a job. Like he would have to cross collateralize with his income.
Yeah. Now, if this wasn't wrinkly enough, let's throw another wrinkle into this. January 12th of this year, the Indiana Secretary of State issued a cease and desist against him for securities fraud related to the sale of unregistered securities. And so when I saw that, what that got me thinking was somehow he did attach the loans to some sort of securities in his company, or he did loans and securities at the same time. And those are two separate things. But I couldn't really figure it out because there's not enough information really talking about it. But that's really interesting. Shri is saying you can bet on pickleball on FanDuel. Huh. Interesting. And Marsha's saying maybe the investors saw the business plan. If they did and they still invested, something is really wrong because you're guaranteeing me a return? Oh no, I'm running away from you real quick.
I think from one of the articles that I saw, he did have a binder with a business plan that he would show his investors. I think he specifically walked through one of his investors through that business plan. I guess whatever he showed looked promising because she invested some of her retirement money into that business plan.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the whole Bernie Madoff thing because he was falsifying statements and sending those out too. So he probably did make it sound really, really good in some sort of a business plan. All right, so my friends on Linky, I think Linky is giving us a little bit of trouble today because I see some comments as I'm looking over here, but I don't think they made it over here to us to where I can pop them up on the screen. So if you're on LinkedIn, that is, sorry, if you're on LinkedIn and you're having problems and you really want to comment, go over to my YouTube channel. By the way, if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, what is wrong with you? Why are you not subscribed?
Well, I am going to log off, everybody. I have another meeting. Thank you for having me on. If you haven't played pickleball, you have to try it. Both of you. There's got to be something by where you guys are at.
I'm going to put it on my bucket list and I am going to try pickleball. And hopefully I won't break a hip. You know, I'm old.
You'll be fine.
Well, Christine, we will see you next week.
See you
That's
later.
great. Thank you, Christine. Bye.
All right, so there are still ongoing legal actions. So an attorney named Matthew Foster is representing about 80 clients and they're seeking. Well, they were seeking to force him into bankruptcy, but that already happened now. Sorry. Um, but but let's just run through some of the judgments again. There was a judgment of $5 million. There was another judgment for $17 million, and then another judgment for $39 million. And then the young lady who invested her 75,000, I think she's either already gotten that back or there was a judgment for her as well, I believe. So now, Shri is saying there are states and one Canadian province that are legalized to bet on pickleball. So, Louisiana, Connecticut, Illinois, Wyoming, Michigan, Tennessee, Colorado, Washington, Maryland, and Ontario, Canada. So maybe he did, bet on pickleball. I don't know.
It's possible. I did not see where the money went either, and it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to just disappear, and for investors to not, for the window to be small for investors to get all their money back.
Yeah. Well, the other thought that I had too was looking at how much merchandise he actually had. I'm not sure if the merch was moving too well because I don't think that there's a whole lot of variety within merch that you can sell, right? You got t-shirts, tank tops, and some rackets. And if I'm starting a business or running a business, I would make sure that the diversity of my product line is fairly small in the beginning. And to have, what did we say? What was that? 100 pages, 100 items per page, and 100 different pages. They have that many items of inventory. That's a lot of inventory.
Really is. It's a lot of inventory. And so
go ahead.
I was just going to say the money apparently that was going to be used by investors was to purchase that merchandise, right? I don't know if you read this, Rob, but apparently one of the convincing methods that he used was by sharing with investors that it was a very exclusive opportunity for them to get a slot into his business plan, and to be quiet about the opportunity, to not share with others. So it seemed like he inflated this possibility as almost like a once in a lifetime opportunity for these investors.
Yep. And that also sounds like who again? My man Bernie Madoff. So yeah, he used a lot of psychological tactics in order to get them to trust him and to invest in this. So there's another lesson learned for us, right? Anytime somebody comes to you and tells you, "Shh, this is a secret investment, and I'm guaranteeing you a certain rate of return," then something is wrong. Even if you look at why is it slipping my mind? The organization that regulates the securities market, FINRA, they have laws against what you can say in advertisements when you are selling securities. And one of the big things is you cannot guarantee a return. So yeah, Marsha's saying, yeah, that's a Bernie Madoff move. You know what? And you know what? Anytime we see stuff like this, we should start calling it out. That's a Madoff move. Just we should coin a phrase for it because it really is. There were some telltale signs here. I'm really wondering what the business plan looked like and how he got, a former Major League Baseball player to invest and to invest so much. This isn't a small amount of money.
Five
Yep.
5 million is what is owed to them now.
Yeah.
Eh,
Which means they aren't getting back their original investment.
I think what was promised to them was 4.2 million, right? As a return of investment.
Ah, I don't know. I can't remember. But he's claiming that they invested 42 million, I think, though.
Oh, so it's okay, 42 million.
Yeah, yeah. And
Jesus.
I think some of the 42 was for real estate from what I can tell. Uh, but yeah, so they aren't getting back close to anywhere close to what they put in, you know? So, if you just joined us this week, we're talking about He's in a Pickle, and it is the former owner of Pickleball Rocks. Judgment has been levied against him where he owes a lot of people a lot of money. They're estimating about $50 million to sell essentially pickleball merch. Quite the interesting tale. If you've just joined us, go back and listen to the beginning. If you're having problems on LinkedIn, go over to YouTube. By the way, just go over to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel anyway, just because I asked nicely. All right. So before we sign off for the week, Karina, any last words for the people?
Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. And for anyone who is studying for the CIA, if you have any questions, or if you've gone through any testing and have any advice on how you were able to get through the testing, please let me know. And yeah, I'd be happy to connect with anyone.
All right. And on that note, see you all next week.
Bye.